Hey y'all, so we are going to go over the test prep for the mid-unit 2. Please keep in mind that after you have reviewed your answers, chapter 16 is the one that you should read. This is super important because for this chapter, you will actually be using it for your test tomorrow. So, the first part is vocabulary. The sentence is exhilarated by the sight of our paternal grandmother's home, we walked hurriedly down the hill toward the pink stucco building within the corral like fence, being careful not to jostle Peter too much in the stretcher. So, the first one is what do you think jostle means? So, if they are walking hurriedly, down a hill and a PETA's in a stretcher and they're being careful with her, that means maybe move or bump or shake it up a little bit. And basically, you come up with definitions by using your context clues. Read the words in that sentence. Walk hurriedly down a hill, careful, stretcher, we know that they're excited to see their grandma, so they're kind of hurrying up, but PETA's kind of laying down. And so that lets us know they don't want to move her. And clues, being careful, to the stretcher, walk. All of those things help you to better understand the meaning. What words could you replace it with to have a similar meaning? So you could literally say, being careful not to move PETA too much. You could say, being careful not to bump her. You could say, being careful not to shake her. So any of those words that you think it means should also be able to replace the word. If you're ever confused if your word fits, just go ahead and read the sentence. Being careful not to shake PETA too much in the stretcher, right? So sometimes though the test will say, oh, this is a online dictionary, find the correct definition. What they want for you to do is find the correct part of speech that matches. If this ever comes up, just keep in mind how the word is being used. So for this one, they're doing something to PETA, and it's an action. And so that's a verb. Push, elbow, bump. The word from the dictionary should match the way that it is used there. If it is a noun, it is a person, place, or thing. An adjective describes that noun. A verb is an action, and an adverb describes the action. So even looking at the sentence, they're walking hurriedly. So describing how you walk is the adverb. And then it's going to have you refer to your affix list. This is absolutely going to happen. You do have a paper copy that goes on the desk every time you take the test. And so you don't have to worry about not having one, but you do break down your word prefix, root, suffix. Prefix is at the beginning. So for example, if I have the word diameter, dia means across, but you also need the rest of it, right? So dia is across, like you need something, or internal, in and enter, between. And so sorry. When you look in your affix list, that'll make sense. I completely was like, why is this on here? When you look in your affix list, that'll make sense because those words are there. When you break down the word, you know that diameter is between the, like a line across or between a circle. So now let's go to text comprehension and analysis. So remember, guys, themes of a text are the messages or main ideas relevant to the real world that the author wants the reader to take away from reading a literary text. The author develops themes with pieces of evidence that support the theme called key details. So if the theme was being kind and pure of heart can help people live fuller, more meaningful lives, we know that this means if you are a good person, good things will happen. These are actions that you do. We know things are not always as they appear. You think one thing, but something else happens. And sometimes it's basic, like Chenko and the Chupacabra, but sometimes it's a little harder to read, like the butterflies turning into the goddess. And keep that in mind. The butterflies turning into the goddess perfectly represents the theme things are not always as they appear. I'd write that down. Family and culture help to shape our identity. So these are internal characteristics that are inside. The things your ancestors or family teach you shape who you are, okay? So when we think about chapter 15, being kind and pure of heart can help people live fuller, more meaningful lives. This is where they talk about their dad, they meet their abuelita, and she's basically telling them like, what you do matters. She's not saying, oh my gosh, you guys have to forgive your dad, he's wonderful. No, she's saying the good that you do helps to determine the life that you live. And so the next part, we're going to talk about how theme is developed. Now, keep in mind, we're talking about what other characters say and do and what happens to teach Odelia and her sisters these lessons, right? It's what they learn. There are 4 sentences to answer this question. Please keep in mind that these sentences go in order, and the bold are your stems to help you create this paragraph, right? So the question here was, try to use this to answer the question. The theme of chapter 15 is being kind and pure of heart can help people lead fuller, more meaningful lives. How is this theme conveyed in chapter 15? How does it develop or build on the theme in this chapter compared to previous chapters? So you want to follow your stems. Abuelita's advice develops the theme being kind and pure heart can help people live fuller, more meaningful lives. That's your sentence 1. Who says it and what is the theme? The second one, this develops a theme because in chapter 15, she expresses her pride in the sisters' kindness and loyalty toward one another and asks them to continue to remain kind and caring towards one another as they return home. Sentence 2, this develops a theme because this is an example specifically in that chapter. So then what is happening in the book now that is different from before? So previously in the book, the girls argued, they fought a lot, right? However, now they understand this better than they could at the beginning since they've been through so much at this point. So basically what happened at the beginning to describe the girls and what's happening now. How are they changing? And then the final sentence, this was also seen previously when the girls were cursed by Cecilia because they were taunting her. Y'all, that was the beginning of this theme. La Llorona was like, excuse me, you need to be nice. And of course the girls weren't. And that started this entire craziness of their journey. Notice my stem. This can also be seen when? Okay, so there are some other things or some other times that this theme was seen. Throughout the novel, the girls face demons and are able to overcome them when they stand together, right? When the sisters were not pure but rude towards Cecilia, the journey became more difficult. So instead of saying taunting her, you could have been a little bit more specific. When the sisters chose to be kind and return the dead man to his family, they were able to begin this journey, and this is when La Llorona came to help them. So please, guys, keep in mind that you don't have to have the exact example, but it should be something from a different chapter in the text, right? This one doesn't need a page because we're just summarizing another example. And so the final part is our summary. Guys, please, please, please write your sentences exactly how I say in this box here. in chapter blank of Summer of the Mariposas, and then the central idea. What's the gist, right? You have your gist written down for each chapter you read. And then 3 details, textual evidence. This is where you need that page number. And this continues to develop the theme that you're going to insert a theme. Y'all, we have 3 themes listed right up here, right? We're going to take one of those themes. If you're taking a test and it tells you what the theme of the chapter is somewhere else, use that same theme. Don't go looking for a different one because it might be wrong. Use the ones that are given to you. So for chapter 15, in chapter 15 of the Summer of the Mariposas, they make it to their abuelita's house where they get more information about what happened to their parents. First, they're worried about Pizza's leg, but their abuelita uses herbs to heal her. Then the girls tell their abuelita what has happened, and she tells them about their dad and their parents' divorce. Lastly, they worry about their mom and begin to feel bad and realize they should go home. Odelia says, Mama's in a lot of pain right now. She needs to hear that we still love her. Think about it. When was the last time you reached out to her? This continues to develop the theme being kind and pure of heart can help people live fuller, more meaningful lives because it shows that they understand they need to change their ways. Remember this concept of being kind and pure of heart are actions. They're sticking together. They're realizing the good that they can do. Okay. And so another example of a summary in chapter 15, the sisters finally find out their abuelita finally find their abuelita and learn about their family. After Peter was bit by Chinko, the sisters are worried for her life. However, abuelita recognizes the chupacabra bite and is able to provide the right herbs to slowly cure Peter. While abuelita cares for the girls, she tells them about how selfish and spoiled their father is, and she lets it slip that he wants to divorce their mother, although she won't tell them why he left. The sisters worry for their mother and realize it's time to return home. On page 257, Abuelita says, I'm so proud of you for standing up for your hermanitas, sorry, y'all, against those evil creatures. I'm sure having to do that taught you how important it is to stick together and love one another more than anything else in the world. Notice that quote and page number. This demonstrates the theme being kind and pure of heart can help people live fuller, more meaningful lives. So these are 2 different examples. Oops, what did I do? These are 2 different examples of summary. Both are correct. All I did was follow the graphic organizer. I highlight when I'm typing just to make sure that I have every single part that I need. This is something that you guys don't have to do, but just remember to check over to make sure you have anything. And if you have any other questions about the test tomorrow or about your study guide, please send me an email. Have a wonderful day, y'all.